Hello there, welcome back. As usual, let's take a look at how the market has performed and then what could be impacting the market next week and how the market would possibly move going forward. Okay, so let's take a look at the Dow right now. Now, as you can see here that the Dow has managed to close strongly above the previous week high. So last week we were here. And I mentioned that the uptrend seems to be looking set to continue as it has broken the high. You can see that the Monday again, the market is trying to push down the index, okay? And there wasn't any follow-through selling. So on this particular day, on this white candle, Powell make a speech to indicate that the interest rate hike is not going to be super jumbo starting from December, as there's sign that inflation numbers are going down. So we can see a strong breakout on this particular day, but the next day there isn't any follow-through selling as profit taking sets in. The good thing is that the market did not follow through selling despite that the non-farm payroll was fantastic. So the market is still expecting going forward that the Fed would cut the or rather would not increase the interest rate so high. So when I mentioned the cut, I meant that instead of 0.75, we are looking at somewhere between 0.25 to 0.5. Okay, so next week, what we're expecting is that if the uptrend were to continue, the data that is coming out is very important. So next week, we have some important data that I'm going to talk about later on. So if the uptrend were to continue, the next resistance to look out for is around 35,338. Moving to S&P 500, we can see S&P 500 continuing its uptrend as it broke out from its resistance over here at 4,033. So we have a higher low over here. Okay, so during the week itself, we can see that the S&P 500 also had some pullback. And the good thing is that the rebound was so strong that it managed to form an ascending triangle for S&P 500. And this ascending triangle has a projective, or rather predictive value. And what we can see is that on an estimate, after S&P 500 managed to hold at this particular level, so we see that the S&P 500 has a predictive value, which is till this around this level. If it can retest this 4120 resistance, then we can see a potential movement towards this 4172. Of course, if you were to look higher a bit, we have this resistance. Let's change color. Change back to blue. We have this resistance at 4,203 as well. And what you want to take note is that there is a resistance zone before the projected level from 4101 to around 4120. This resistance zone has to break. And the key observation over here is that the S&P 500 managed to hold this level as support. Okay, and we are looking at a potential upward movement going forward because support now starts to hold. And like I said just now, non-farm payroll, there wasn't any follow-through selling. So we have a lower opening at the support level and then close higher. And this is a positive sign. So we do expect this positive sign to continue if nothing goes wrong. Nasdaq Composite, we have it testing the resistance zone last week after a strong rebound. So I mentioned that that clue that the market has given to us earlier was that it managed to close above this high last week. No doubt we see some pullback in the early week. This Monday and Tuesday pullback. support managed to hold at this zone, okay, at this level, 10,974, and the strong rebound brings Nasdaq back to its resistance over here at 11,494. Again, this will be the key reasons to look out for to break next week in order for Nasdaq to break into uptrend. So we haven't have an official uptrend for Nasdaq yet. Currently, we are looking at the sideways at this present moment. So if Nasdaq can break out from 11,606, it may go back to uptrend. So we are looking at a long-term projected value at 12,032. But of course, on the way up, it has to break up some resistance and fill up this particular gap over here in order to continue higher. Going to Asia, we have STI, first stop. So STI, you can see that yes, last week I mentioned that we do expect some changes if we were to break down the channel line. So the channel line was here, just like to replot. And what you see is that the STI went down to form a new minor support at 3,232 and rebounded strongly to retest its resistance at 3,307, where it fails to break this resistance and it start to pull back strongly. It could be a knee-jerk reaction. No doubt, I would observe that on this particular day, Thursday, there's a higher opening and lower closing. This is a weakness at recent level, and the market indeed follow through this weakness with a follow-through selling. But then because due to the strong performance on Friday, there might be some recovery going forward. So if the recovery were to bring the index back to 3,307, then we have a very strong chance that the uptrend will resume. But however, if the index cannot rebound and follow through selling back to this support level at 3,000 and 3,233, then we may be seeing a sideways going forward. So it is a crucial week ahead for the STI. Hang Seng, we can see Hang Seng broke out from its resistance at 18,421. This is a very strong sign, but weakness start to emerge as it fill up the gap over here. So you can see there's a gap which Hang Seng has to fill, and it filled up. So this is the plus point, because with this gap filled, it paved the way for the index to move higher. But unfortunately, it filled up with a black candle, which can be tricky because there might be some more downside before it rebound. As Friday, it did not close high again. The support level that we are looking at for the uptrend to continue, hopefully at best 18,421 to hold. Now, of course, needless to say, if the market is able to negate the weakness and straight away push back into this resistance at around 19,250, then push to this resistance level at 19,500, then we can see uptrend continuing towards this major resistance around 20,180. So this will be a very good sign for the Hong Kong market as it goes back into the uptrend. So the market right now is looking forward for more news on China reopening, and they are anticipating that with the uptrend, and hopefully the news is true, and then the market may experience some downside when the news is confirmed, because sell on news is very common. But we can see that if uptrend is able to continue or keep intact with support continue to hold, then this will be a fantastic sign. Okay, so before I just wrap up everything, I just like to mention about, because I mentioned about support managed to hold. If you were to look back on Hang Seng's performance last week, you can see that although it gapped down and pushed lower, it managed to hold at its gap over here. There is a gap And this gap support managed to help Hang Seng to hold, and this is the sign of a bullishness. Then when it opened up higher and close higher, it forms an island reversal, and continuing higher, breaking out the resistance definitely is a bullish sign. All right, so Hang Seng has a good chance to continue to move higher next week. Okay, so let's look at what are the important things to look out next week. So wrapping up next week, if the market is able to continue its uptrend, some of the key information that we got to look out for the Hang Seng market, the Caixin Service PMI on Monday, and then we are looking at the ISM data for the market. And I think one of the key information that the market will be looking at is relating to the inflation, which is a core PPI numbers, which will tell us that whether the inflation is in control or not, and therefore helping the market to move higher if the inflation is trending down. The China CPI should remain low as they haven't fully opened up, so the inflation isn't that high over there. All right, so thank you for viewing this week's video. I will see you again next week.